Started. Hey, Kenneth, since you have a new consultant on, why don't you introduce him?
Sure. Wow. We just got a big rainstorm over here. Crazy.
It is crazy.
Yeah, I know. Well, Nick, he's somewhere. There he is. He just popped on his video. And Nick just joined us today, or Nicholas, as his, you know, my son is Nick, so that's why I call him Nick. But Nicholas just joined us. He also is in Tampa, is looking to build a huge business, has been in wellness and fitness, and is very excited about this. So welcome, Nicholas.
Hey, Nick, welcome. Welcome. I look forward to meeting you in person. Tampa's not so far from Orlando, so maybe we'll do a breakfast drive halfway again and we can all meet, Kenneth.
Sure,
We'll do our typical drive halfway each.
sounds
All
good.
right, we're going to go ahead and get started. Please take some notes. Is everyone hearing me okay? I saw a message that somebody didn't. Am I coming through okay? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Anyone not hearing me, check the mute on your setup. Because I'm getting a thumbs up here. But anyway, I'm going to get right into the slides in a second, but there's some exciting news coming out of the company this week. I have it on a slide I'll share with you. But, we are, believe it or not, we are halfway through March. As of tomorrow, we're at the halfway point. And, you know, days go quick and months go quick. And March is a very important month because it's a momentum builder for the spring and summer. So as I go through some of the points that I bring out tonight, I'd really like you, to take it to heart and apply it as quickly as possible, if you can, to building your business. Okay, so April, do you have it? Because I'm going to go to the slides. You good?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Okay, so these are the regular reminders, and again, I know we have a couple new people on, but like I said, March is a momentum building month for the spring and for the summer, and one of the things we do to help people build their business, get more familiar with social media, get more familiar with reaching out to people, is we have what we call a power hour on Monday afternoons at 4 o'clock Eastern time. Okay, so it's 4 Eastern. And it's really, an hour where anyone in the business can join the Zoom, and I'll show you the Zoom link in a second, and work together, reaching out to contacts and prospects in regards to the business. April, hosts it most of the time. I know Dee helps a lot with it. There's a lot of regulars on that, but if you really want an uninterrupted hour of doing something very productive, put that on your calendar. Now, our regular opportunity launch, our Zoom that we do for the live product and opportunity is coming up next week. Okay. Like I said, we're at the midway point. It comes quick. So we'll have our training on Sunday night, which I believe is today's 15th, so that'd be the 22nd. So Wednesday, March 25th is our live opportunity, and that's the one you want to get loaded up with guests. That's the Zoom meeting that you want to personally have prospects on that call, and I'll show you those invites in a second. Um, just a reminder, Vegas is just 31 days away. It's hard to even say 31 days. It is this time next month that we will be heading out there for Thursday, Friday, Saturday. I can't wait to go out there. It's been a long time for April and I since we've been there, other than connecting for a plane to get somewhere else. But we're looking forward to it. It's one of our two big annual events that LifeVantage puts on. Okay, there's always a big event in April, and there's always the biggest event, the global event, is in October. Okay, so this one coming up is the first of two for this year, and that's next month. Tomorrow is going to be fun. April and I are continuing to be the host for Motivational Mondays. As you may or may not know, this is a call that Kerry Dickey and Stu Brody, two pretty close to originals in LifeVantage, had done for about 14 years. And a number of other LifeVantage executives now have taken it over to give them a break. Okay, they had been doing it like these Sunday nights, April and I have been doing for probably 20 years now, if you count our first company and the second one. But we were asked to pick a month to sponsor and not sponsor, be the host of these motivational Mondays. And what it is, it's a half hour of stories about LifeVantage products, about the LifeVantage business, and all the different types of people that are in the business. So April and I will be hosting a few more weeks, and tomorrow's another one. But the theme tomorrow is doctors and doctors talking about, what they have seen happen with their patients with LifeVantage products. They may even mention a little bit all the money they make doing it too. I don't know, but they will be talking about just the amazing results that their patients have gotten over the I think Dr. Catalina Egregia's been with us probably in the vicinity of 3 years. And Dr. Donna Gordon is been with us for the whole time, for the 8 years that we've been here. Okay, so anyway, and then we April and I have a training for you tonight. But that's the invite. If you were on last week, it's the same number. It never changes. Okay. So every Monday at 12 noon Eastern time, and you can adjust accordingly. That's the dial-in number and the access code. And tomorrow it'll be Catalina, Dr. Grieger, and Dr. Gordon sharing their stories. Okay. So April and I will be hosts. So anybody that you want to hear good stories, whether it's a customer, whether it's a prospect, whether it's somebody looking at the business. I'm telling you, I know we met with someone the other week, and last week, April and I, somebody local that's considering doing the business and found out that he had an autistic daughter. And I'm sure April's planning on getting him to plug in. She sent him a lot of stuff on it. So anyone that you can think of that would appreciate hearing the credibility of physicians endorsing the safety and effectiveness of this product would be a great person to get on the call. Okay, now here's the surprise I said. I had a long talk with Skylar the other day, and many of you may not be aware, but April and I developed the wholesale program for the company. Okay. And the wholesale program, meaning the salons that can buy it wholesale, the doctors that can buy wholesale, anybody that's got the retail outlet. Kenneth can do it with his gyms. Okay. You have to have a retail outlet. You have to have a certification. It's got to be legit. And this was what we called our doctors program in our old company. So Skylar called the other day and notified us that the GLP-1 or Mind Body was going to have a significant price decrease. Okay. And the wholesale price had been $11.99 for 9 months supply or $133 each. The new price is $9.99 for 9 months, $111 each is the wholesale. Now, he didn't give me the exact retail. They're going to announce it either tomorrow or Tuesday or whatever. But in working backwards, okay, because they needed to get this updated on their wholesale pricing in case our team sends in orders. Okay, my guess, it's going to be it was 199 was the retail. It's going to be in the 150, 155 range. Something like that'll be the range that it's in. But what Skylar was sharing with me was the company plans on staying competitive in the GLP-1 market, no matter what's going on in that market. And obviously the shots went down in cost and different stuff. So they're planning on staying competitive. And this is what they're doing now to make sure that that's happening. So just, most of you are not involved in any way with the wholesale. But just so you know, if you have customers that either are on it or came off it because it was expensive, or out of their budget or whatever it is, there is a very significant price decrease coming in the coming days. So keep an eye out looking for that. Okay, as I said, Las Vegas, the Momentum Academy, hosted by LifeVantage Corporate, is 31 days away. There's still room. You can still register. April and I are still working on 4 or 5 people to get there ourselves that are not currently registered. So there's still room, and I would highly encourage you to join us there. Not only will the information be amazing, but we have a blast whenever we all hang out together. And it would be very hard not to have fun in Las Vegas. So, okay. Power Hour, April, you want to say anything on that or?
Yeah, it's funny. I know some people do some traditional power hours. I have to say ours has been totally different every time. Everybody kind of chips in, lots of great information, lots of great ways on how to build your business on social. So sometimes I teach, a lot of times I learn. So I love it.
But that dedicated hour is very productive, isn't
It
it?
is. It is.
So, okay, so this was what I was mentioning. These are the invites. They're on Telegram. They're in our Facebook Team Unity group. These are the invites if you want to invite guests to the Wednesday night meeting. It's a week from this Wednesday, next Wednesday, March 25th. It's always at 8:30 Eastern time. Okay, that's always the time, and the Zoom ID number is always the same. So anyway, and then in the middle, you can see that's the one that's got the live link. So there's a invite that is asking them to message you for the Zoom number. If you're going to post anything, that's the one you post. Okay. And then when they ask for the Zoom number, you send them the Zoom number. Please do not post the invite that has the Zoom number on it. Make them ask for it. Okay. And then obviously the blue in the middle has got the live link, and you can use that as a reminder as the day of is send them the live link so they don't have to be messing around with trying to figure out how to find Zoom or anything like that. Okay. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit tonight, and April will be chiming in on it. But the theme is, how many ponds are you fishing in? And what I mean by that is, how many lines do you have in the water? How many things, and in this case, I'm not talking fish, I'm talking people. Okay. If you have one line in the water or you're working on one, honestly, how fast or how big a business do you think is going to happen? Okay. If you're just doing one thing and you just have one line in the water, you know, if you have 5 lines in the water, like the guy on the right, he's got a line going in every direction off that boat, the likelihood, no guarantees, in this business, but the likelihood is he's going to catch more fish than the guy on the left. Okay. I mean, well, the same thing is true in our business. And it's funny, if there's one word that I'd really like you to really focus on tonight, that word is being intentional. Being intentional with everything you do in regards to this business. And April, you got to watch the sound.
Yeah, got it.
You got it? Okay. So the most important thing that you and I could ever do in this business is always have it on our minds and always be intentional with what we do every day. And I'm not talking about throwing up on people. I'm not talking about driving people crazy. I'm not talking about being a nag. I'm not talking about doing anything that way. Okay, what I'm talking about is giving thought to what goes on every day in your life, where you're going to be every day in your life, making sure that no matter where I happen to go, where April happens to go, our business hat is on, our mind is always on products and business, and we're being intentional in whatever it is that we're doing. And one of the things that goes on in this business is we can get lulled to sleep. We could think that people are in the, let's call the funnel, and may come out the bottom of the funnel and become a customer or distributor by the end of the month. And we could be thinking this in the beginning of the month, and days and weeks go by and we're still waiting on the same person. And the one thing that April and I have learned in this business is you can't and you should never put all your eggs in one basket. It's just not a good way to run a business and do a business. You need to be intentional with how you are sharing the products that we have, how you're sharing the business that we have, how um, you can help somebody with their health, how you can help someone with their finances. April's favorite line is, I might have something that can help you. That could be a line that is used for anything anybody says, anything health related, anything financial. Can you imagine one line, I might have something that can help you, could be the answer for anything that comes out of another person's mouth? I mean, it's powerful, but it's intentional. It's not an accident. So please take some notes on this. And it's if you will get this and start being intentional, you will see things happen in your business that you never dreamed of. And you got to realize this business, when something good happens, your excitement and your confidence goes to another level. Okay. It goes a notch up. And when two good things happen, it goes up again. When three things happen, it goes up again. Eventually, enough things going on in your business, and not only are you being intentional, okay, but nobody can knock you off the mountain. Like, you just know these products are the best in the world. You just know that we have a business that could help anybody in any situation. And when you know that it's over, okay? Because nobody can argue with you because you know. So make some mental notes on this. You can put some of your answers in the chat if you're brave. But how many ponds are you fishing in? And I'm going to tell you what I mean by ponds. I'm going to go into some different things that April and I are doing on the next slide. But are you really just concentrating on one thing, or two or three things, or four or five things, maybe more? You know, how many lines do you have in the water? How many people have you had a conversation with? Now, I'd like to see the chat on this one, okay? How many people did you have a conversation with this week about our products or business? Okay, an honest, open conversation, not a pitch, not a sales pitch, just it started with curiosity and it turned into a conversation. How many of those happened this week? Were you intentional in getting into conversations with people about our products or business? Or were you doing something just for the sake of doing it because you like it? And if someone happened to ask you any questions, you might mention something. See, that's not intentional. That's allowing anything and everything and everybody to control your business except for you. And when you're intentional, you're in control. Okay, you're absolutely in control of what's going on with your business. So how many people did you have a conversation with this week about our products or business? A legitimate, real conversation for 3, 4, 5, 10 minutes, something like that. The biggest difference between people enrolling customers and new consultants is being intentional or not. It's the difference between making things happen and letting things happen. And we've always taught, and you've heard April say this many times, we got to be doing a minimum of 2 a day, 2 new conversations every day. But the one thing that I want to separate a little bit is, and and I don't mean this literally, but I want to make a point. Social media doesn't count as your two a day. Okay. Social media is a different beast. It's a different animal altogether. And anybody that's doing business on social media knows you got to do a whole lot more than two a day. Okay. They know that. Okay. I'm talking about more warm market people whose name or number might already be in your phone, people that you come across every once in a while. I'm talking about more real live people, okay? Not the social media people. Not that they're not real on the other end, but you know what I mean. One is on a screen, the other one is belly to belly, kneecap to kneecap, whatever you want to call it. One thing that you will find if you are dealing with multiple ponds, in other words, you're talking to people from different walks of life. Okay. And I'll give you some ideas what I'm talking about in a second. It gets easier and easier and easier to do this business. You sharpen your skills tremendously each and every time you have a conversation with somebody. And especially if you're having conversations with people that are coming from different things. Okay, like this. Let me go to the next slide. Okay, the different types of ponds. Okay, everything, they're all good as long as you are comfortable in that pond and can carry on an intelligent conversation in that pond. Okay, if you don't know a thing about church,
Don't go.
if you
Don't
don't,
go.
you got that, April?
Yeah.
um, I don't know what the mute stuff's going on tonight, but sorry,
Yeah.
folks, about that. Anyway, if you don't know your way around an area, like if you've never been to church, church probably isn't somewhere that you should be looking to do business. You know, if you're not into fitness, okay, maybe a gym or a facility like Kenneth has an Orange Theories and workout places and Pilates places, that may not be your cup of tea, okay, if that's not your thing. But anything that you love, anything that you know something about, anything that you're really into, that's your thing, okay? And what I'm talking about is you should be looking to do business in all the areas where you are well versed. Okay. And there's nothing wrong with getting into something new, but you got to be patient with it until you know a little bit more about it. So I've just made a partial list. Okay. You could go on forever, but a pond could be your workplace. It could be your business. It could be your school or your kid's school. It could be church. It could be shopping. It could be vacations. I can't tell you how many customers and prospects we met from cruising, especially in our first company. We went on over 20 cruises with them. Okay. Obviously, some people are just really good with social media, with Instagram, with Facebook, with TikTok. I mean, they're really good with it. We're really good with advertising. Okay. And we're so excited. We found somebody local to work with. So, but it's funny why we were working on getting a new person and redoing the things we've been doing. We used our time to reach out to some older leads, but more importantly, get out amongst real people doing real other stuff. Okay. Hobbies. Great place. If you have a hobby and you're hanging out with dozens or hundreds of other people that like the same hobby, what a great place to be networking our business, our products, and our opportunity. Okay, networking meetings. We did one on Thursday, I think Thursday night or Friday night here locally, two towns over. And, but sports, any type of sport. Okay, there's a bond between people with sports. With April in particular, it's tennis. Okay, but it could be hockey. I know Fred's an authority on hockey. For years and years, it was baseball in our house because our kids played. Now it's pickleball. Okay, especially for me. April plays too, but that's my fertile ground right now. I mean, whether it's the men's league whether it's the mixed doubles league or whether it's social, where we're just playing in the neighborhood socially. We probably have 20 different people that play in the neighborhood. It's a phenomenal place to be planting your seeds for the business. Could be golf. You've heard us talk about being intentional with dinner and happy hour. What do you mean by that? We try and sit where there's other people that we might be able to talk to. I'm getting excited now because it's beach season again. We always park the Jeep near other people that have Jeeps or near other people that look like they're social. And we're always there for 6 or 8 hours. And we know over the course of the day, we're going to get a chance to talk to them. They're going to ask why there's biohacker on my Jeep. They're going to ask if they're going to comment on when I roast hot dogs. There's just going to be opportunities to talk to people. And the thing that I love most, and April and I stick with this, we try and do what we're doing on a very regular basis, weekly if possible, where we always know we can be intentional with our conversations and we're going to see the people again. Okay, we're going to see them again. That's why I've gotten so fond of pickleball because I'm going to see him when we play another match. I'm going to see him next week at the courts. I'm going to see him again. I don't have to press because I'm going to see him again. I had a situation the other day where I met an opponent. Okay, he's not on my team, but an opponent a couple weeks ago, and we were talking about joints and stuff. And long story short, I said, hey, our protandim and collagen is great with that. I've done some stem cell stuff. I'm playing with peptides now. There's a lot of stuff. And he asked me to send him information. Okay, which I did. Do you know, and this is how easy things could get. The following week, I see him again, and we're actually warming up on the same court. We're playing against each other later in the day, but we're warming up. He yells across the court. Okay, there's probably 20 people standing around. Hey, Bobby, thanks for getting that information over to me. I started looking at it. I'll keep you posted, something like that. And everybody heard him say it. Everybody. And then his wife was there and he introduced me to her. And somehow, and I don't blame her for being proud of it, he mentioned how old she was and that she was 69 years old. And I'm looking at her, I'm saying, there's no way. There is no way that this woman, she's beautiful. There was no way that she was 69 years old. I would have guessed 50 if he said guess. And guess what? We had a conversation about collagen, and they were saying that, hey, we've been using that. We put it in our coffee in the morning. And I joked, I said, there isn't a lot that I would let anyone put in my coffee in the morning. I happen to like it without anything in it. And we got into a conversation. She was really into hearing it because I mentioned we had the only activator that, got our bodies activating new stuff, not just taking care of what was there. And she kept asking questions. I said, would you mind? I said, my wife's an authority on this. And I showed her April's picture and she said, man, I can't believe how old she is. And the same compliments flew back when she was looking at April's picture. I said, would you mind if I had to call you tomorrow and you ladies can talk shop? And she said, I would love that. I handed her my phone. I said, please put your name and number in it and just send a text so I have it. And April talked to her the next day, and about an hour later, she placed a $400 order. No pressing at all. Okay. I knew I'd see him again. I didn't know the wife was going to react that quick because I was talking to him about something. But here's my point, folks. The more lines you have in different ponds, the quicker, the faster, and they're more diverse, okay, that you're going to have with the opportunity to build your business. But you know what else might happen? You might really find out that you love it. I can't wait to do anything that we do, April and I, every day, whatever it is when we go out. I don't care if it's food shop and I don't care if it's happy hour. I don't care what it is. Okay. If I'm going to bring my dad breakfast in the morning and I'm stopping at McDonald's to get him his pancakes and coffee and so whatever it is, man, the radar is always on. And it's fun and it doesn't feel salesy. It doesn't feel like you're pressing. So, April, I mentioned a lot of stuff here. You got anything you want to add?
Yeah, you're probably like, what do I say to these people? And it's real simple. And I think it became easier for me. I'm not well, I wasn't always a people person. I was very much an introvert. So, the thing that I do is I ask a lot of questions when I meet somebody new. In fact, I'm doing it with somebody online right now. So, it's real easy. Just, this one, I'll tell you, this lady, she had a tennis thing. And I said, you're a tennis player. And we go back how many years and, USTA and 4-0 and stuff. And so you just ask enough questions till a pain point, something that bothers them, surfaces. And then you heard Bobby say, whether in person or, online, I might have something that'll help you with that. Would you be open to taking a look at a video? This is a business and I mean this kindly, COVID is over. Corporate America, traditional work people went back to work. They're not home anymore. So how are we any different? That's our job. Our job is to network. We need to get out. We need to get among people. So, you can just be around people and it can be a really quick interaction, but just ask a few questions, and they'll let you know where they stand. The more questions you ask, the more information, the more truth of that information you'll get from them. And then it's just a matter of, hey, I've got a video that I can share with you, get their phone number, and then go back to talking about something else if you're still sitting there. When we were at baseball games, I would ask enough questions till we got that. You got to remember, if you're at church or baseball, pickleball, you're there for that sport. You are not there to do an opportunity meeting. So it kind of needs to be very brief, but people love to talk about themselves. So let them talk about themselves, find their pain point, offer to send them a video, make sure you get their information. You don't need their business card. You don't need to share your business card. Make sure you have, and you heard Bobby say, here's my phone, give me your phone number. Because that's the important part. Because maybe it doesn't happen like this one did the very next day. But you know what? You can continue to drip on people again and again. So every time, like, let's say this was a collagen conversation. Let's say this was a joint pain conversation or something. Every time you see something on YouTube, every time you see something on Facebook, every time you see a motivational Monday, the recordings are always there. Maybe it's a Wednesday wellness. We have a wealth of information. We just need to connect the dots. We need to connect the rapport. I have to tell you, after we met with that gentleman Thursday morning, and I talked to him quite a bit on the phone, but I had no idea he had an autistic daughter. And when I started pulling up information on what our company has, I was blown away by how much stuff and testimonies and everything else we had. So, we just have so much going on for us. But again, we kind of have to know what we have, how we can share it. So, some kind of video, some kind of testimony is more powerful than us talking because they think we're selling. If I continue to talk and sell and talk and sell, they think I'm selling. But if I say I got something I can share with you, hear from somebody else that maybe even relates better to their problem, that is a home run. And then get somebody else on the phone, get anybody else on the phone, because again, they perceive you're there to sell them. I can't tell you over the years, people that have watched me on social and just, around tennis and stuff, every once in a while, they'll come up and they'll say, you still selling that stuff? I mean, it's just, I always kind of crack up at it. And I know they want it at this point because they've seen enough stuff, but everybody perceives they're being sold to instead of sharing information with you to help you with what you need. So that comes from a whole different, and then it never feels spammy or salesy or anything else. And in all truth, I'm not spending a lot of time with that person. I got their contact, and that's really my goal a lot of times. And in fact, sometimes I can get a little bit lazy at the beach and Bobby will start talking to somebody and he's like, now you got to go get their number. And I'm like, I don't really feel like it, but then he'll be like, I bet you can't get their number. I'm like, all right, I'm getting their number. And my whole goal is to get their number. It's not to close them on the spot. I promise you, it's not. I don't want to talk that long. It's not in me, but I can share information very easily, all these videos and stuff. So, Bobby.
Yeah, like I said the other day, with I was talking about the lady, the wife of the pickleball guy, and this is right up the same alley that April was just talking about. When she had given me a number and said she'd like April to call her, that conversation was over. The only thing, and this happened, I don't think we were halfway through our matches, and the matches run about 3 hours. Okay. So I don't think we're even at the halfway point. And the only thing we did the rest of the night was talk pickleball with her husband or her, or just had a good old time because it was done. There was nothing left to say. She said she wanted to hear from April. She gave me a number, put it in my phone, it was over. It was no more selling needed to happen, and as we were walking out, her comment was, I'm looking forward to hearing from April. So it was done. But you don't keep going like April just said. When like the number's been exchanged, okay, and I give them my phone. I let them put it in. I mean, I'll go to the contacts and put a fresh page up there and hand it to them, and that's it. And does anyone have any questions or comments that we're a few minutes over, but we don't mind answering. Anyone? Don't forget tomorrow, the Motivational Monday, Dr. Gregan, Dr. Gordon. Um, Man, you want to give people a lot of credibility with doctors who have gotten great, great, great results with their patients. That's a call you want to get on. I know they're recorded, but when you make it special with, live, and you tell them these people and they're on you've been in play, you've traveled places with them, and they're on the Sunday night trainings and stuff. It's more powerful if they you can get them on something live. So, anyone got anything? We good? Are we good? My South African tour guides, good? Are you good? So they were great. Anyone else? We're good? All right. So 12 noon Eastern time tomorrow, 4 o'clock tomorrow, Power Hour. And if there's anything we could do for you in between, keep your eye on the email. The new price on retail price for GLP-1 will be coming out sometime this week. So anyway, have a great evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us. I'll get the recording out in Telegram by the morning. Okay? Bye-bye.
Awesome. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thanks.